proceedings is available to watch on Parliament Live TV. We now come to questions to the Prime Minister. I start with Robin Miller.
Mr. Speaker, from tomorrow...
Sit. Shut up a minute. What's this for? Come. Give me the word in. Order! Order! I say to the honourable gentleman, give me this. I will not tolerate such behaviour. If you want to go out now, but if you stand again, I will order you out. Make your mind up. Either shut up and get out. I warn the honourable member that if there's protesting carrying out to... Shut up a minute. Does somebody want... Two at once.
Shout, get him out.
Order! Order! Sit down, you want me in the future. I now warn the honourable members that if they persist in refusing to comply with my order to withdraw, I shall be compelled to name both of them, which may lead to them being suspended from the House. Right, names. To ensure that the honourable member complies. Can it? Where's the names? I order! Shut up. Shh. Neil Hanvey, I am now naming you and Kenny McCaskill to leave this chamber. Sergeant, deal with them. Deal with them. Deal with them. Just sit down. Out! No. Sergeant at Arms, escort them out. Take them out, Sergeant. Let them out.
Robin Miller.
Shh. Come on.
Insurrection. Yeah, just put the PM again.
No, then let's just see if we can... Mr. Costa, you don't want to go and escort them to the tea room, do you? No, I suggest not. I think you're good and better behaved than that. Right, we'll try again after that. Prime Minister will now go to Robin Miller.
Mr. Speaker, from tomorrow, the first instalment of the cost of living payment will start landing in the bank accounts of 8 million households across the country. This is a much-needed £326 cash boost for families and forms part of the £1,200 in direct support that we're giving to the most vulnerable households this year. Mr. Speaker, I'm sure the whole House was appalled and saddened, as I was, to hear about the despicable attack on Shinzo Abe. Our thoughts are with his family and loved ones and the people of Japan at this dark and sad time. Mr. Speaker, this week we remember the genocide in Srebrenica and the victims of those appalling events. We must learn the lessons of history and do all in our power to prevent such a thing happening again. We will continue to combat war crime deniers, both in Bosnia-Herzegovina and elsewhere. Mr. Speaker, this morning I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others. In addition to my duties in this House, I shall have further such meetings later today.
Robin Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I thank the Prime Minister for his personal interest in Aberconwy, whether he's been eating ice cream on the pier in Llandudno, sampling Welsh Pandemonium whisky, or standing on the granite quarry in Penmaen Mawr. He's seen why they love this constituency. He's also heard from them their gratitude for the vaccine and furlough programmes that this UK government delivered. So will my right honourable friend now support our plan to level up Aberconwy and our bid for almost £20 million of funding to invest in community and cultural programmes and give us the opportunity to match our potential?
I thank my honourable friend, and he's a great champion for Aberconwy, and I much enjoyed the Pandemonium whisky that we sampled together. Mr. Speaker, I ignored the revolver, as some of you may have noticed. We are committed to uniting and levelling up the UK, and as for the second round of the Levelling Up Fund announcements, it will be coming, Mr. Speaker, this autumn.
We now come to the Leader of the Opposition, Keir Starmer.
Mr. Speaker, may I join the Prime Minister on his comments about the former Prime Minister of Japan, a deeply shocking moment, and of course his comments about genocide. Mr. Speaker, may I welcome the new Cabinet to their places. We have a new Chancellor who accepted a job from the Prime Minister on Wednesday afternoon and then told him to quit on Thursday morning. A new Northern Ireland Secretary who once asked if you need a passport to get to Derry. And the new Education Secretary, whose junior ministers have literally been giving the middle finger to the public. It is truly the country's loss that they will only be in post for a few weeks. Now, the Prime Minister must be feeling demop happy since he was pushed out of office. Finally, he can throw off the shackles, say what he really thinks, and forget about following the rules. So, does he agree? Does he agree it's time to scrap the absurd non-dom status that allows the super-rich to dodge tax in this country?
Prime Minister.
Well, I thank you very much, and it's perfectly true that I'm grateful for the ability to speak my mind, which I never really lost, Mr. Speaker. But what I'm focusing on is continuing the government of the country. And as I've just told you, Mr. Speaker, from tomorrow, £326 is arriving. Never mind non-doms, Mr. Speaker. Doms or non-doms, I don't mind. £326 is arriving in the bank accounts of 8 million vulnerable people. And how can we do that? Because we took the decisions to get the strong economy that we currently have, that I'm afraid were resisted by growth in May at 0.5%, Mr. Speaker, which they weren't expecting. We have. As I've told you before, Mr. Speaker, 620,000 more people in payroll employment than before the pandemic began. And one of the consolations of leaving office at this particular time, Mr. Speaker, is that vacancies are at an all-time high.
Yes, Starmer.
Cut him some slack. Faced with an uncertain future, a mortgage-sized decorator's bill that'll be soon for somebody else's flat, I'm not surprised he's careful not to upset any future employers. So here's an even simpler one. Does he agree that offshore schemes can pose a risk because some people use them to avoid tax they owe here?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'm proud of the investment that this country attracts from around the world. And he's talking about offshore people investing in the UK. I'm absolutely thrilled to see that we've had, I think, 12 billion in tech alone come in the last couple of months. I think, if possible, Mr. Speaker, he's referring not to me, but to some of the 8 brilliant candidates who are currently vying for my job. Let me just tell him that any one of them will wipe the floor with Captain. Wipe the floor.
Can I just say the furniture has to be repaired? And one of the members already had one bill. I'm sure he doesn't want another. Prime Minister.
Any one of them would wipe the floor with Captain Crasharoony Snoozefest, Mr. Speaker. And after a few weeks' time, that is exactly what they will do. They will unite around the winner and do just that.
Yes, Starmer.
He's been saying all week that he wants revenge on those that have wronged him. Here's an idea, Prime Minister. If he really wants to hit them where it hurts, he should tighten the rules on tax avoidance. But at the very least, does he agree that anyone running to be Prime Minister should declare where they and their families have been domiciled for tax purposes and whether they've ever been a beneficiary of an offshore tax scheme.
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, to the best of my knowledge, everybody in this Parliament, everybody in this House pays their full whack of tax in this country, and I think that people should, members across the House should cease this constant vilification of each other. I think people pay their fair share of taxes, and quite right. What we're doing, and it's thanks to the tax yield that we have had, that we're able to support the people of this country in the way that we are. So we've been able to increase universal credit by £1,000, Mr. Speaker. We're putting £326 from tomorrow into the bank accounts of those who need it most, Mr. Speaker. And thanks to the policies we have pursued, as I have just told you, we have unemployment at or near record lows. And that is what counts, Mr. Speaker. No, they are very happy to see people languish on benefits. We believe in getting people into good jobs. And I'm looking for one.
Mr. Speaker, I'm not sure he's been keeping up with what's happening in the last few days. Over the weekend, the candidates to replace him have promised £330 billion in giveaways. That's roughly double the annual budget for the NHS. Sadly, they haven't found time to explain how they're paying for it, even though one of them's the Chancellor and another one was Chancellor until a week ago. They all backed 15 tax rises. Now they're acting as if they've just arrived from the moon, saying it should never have happened. Doesn't he agree that rather than desperately rewriting history, they should at least explain exactly where they're getting all this cash from?
Prime Minister.
Actually, Mr. Speaker, he's completely wrong. I've been listening very carefully, and all the commitments that I'm listening to are very clear. We will continue. Whoever is elected will continue to put more police out on the street, exactly as we promised. Already at 13,576, we're going to go up to 20,000. Whoever takes over will build. They always complain about this, but we will build the 40 new hospitals, Mr. Speaker. And I asked my delivery unit yesterday. Well, they don't want it. They don't like it, Mr. Speaker, because they voted against the funding. They voted against the funding that makes it possible, Mr. Speaker. And they have also, just in the last period in which he has been in office, made extra commitments of public spending worth £94 billion, which would be thousands of pounds of extra taxation for every family in the country, Mr. Speaker. That's the difference between them and us.
Yes, Starmer.
Totally deluded to the bitter end. Now, to be fair...
Mr. Oldham, I think that's the last time I hear from you today. I think otherwise you might be able to buy a couple of other people cups of tea. Yes,
to be fair to the new Chancellor, he's at least attempted to spell it out. He's promised tens of billions in tax cuts and confirmed he would cut the NHS, the police and school budgets by 20% to fund it. The member for Stratford and Gibraltar is complaining, but he said it on TV. And yesterday he said it's simply not right that families are seeing their bills skyrocket and we do nothing. Was the Chancellor speaking on behalf of the government, Prime Minister, when he promised huge spending cuts and when he said that they're doing nothing on the cost of living crisis?
Prime Minister.
Look, Mr. Speaker, this is really pitiful stuff from the party that voted against the £39 billion which is necessary to pay for those 50,000 nurses which we're recruiting, and we will recruit by 2024, Mr. Speaker, which is necessary to pay for those hospitals and those doctors and those scans and that treatment. They don't have a leg to stand on, Mr. Speaker. And I can tell him something else. The reason we've got growth now at 0.5% in May is because we took the tough decisions to come out of lockdown on July the 19th last year, which he said was reckless. Never forget, he said it was reckless. Our economy would not be strong enough now to make the payments we are to our fantastic NHS, and they know it.
Stop up. I really am going to miss this weekly nonsense from him. Let's move on. Let's move on from his current Chancellor to his former Chancellor. Last week he resigned, accusing the Prime Minister of not conducting government properly, competently or seriously. He suggested the Prime Minister is not prepared to work hard or take difficult decisions, and implied that the Prime Minister cannot tell the public the truth. Yesterday, he claimed his big plan is to rebuild the economy. Now, even the Prime Minister must be impressed by that Johnsonian brass-neckery. Can the Prime Minister think of any jobs his former Chancellor may have had that means he bears some responsibility for an economy that he now claims is broken?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I think everybody who's played a part in the last 3 years has done a remarkable job in helping this country through very difficult times. I just want to say to him, really, Mr. Speaker, the next leader of my party may be elected by acclamation, so it's possible this will be our last confrontation over this. It's possible. So I want to thank him. I want to thank him for the style in which he's conducted himself. I think it'd be fair to say he's been considerably less lethal than many other members of this House. Mr. Speaker. And I'll tell you why that is. Because he hasn't come up.
Can I just say to this end of this front bench, I expect better behaviour, and I'm certainly going to get it. Prime Minister.
Yeah. There's a reason for that, Mr. Speaker. Is over 3 years, in spite of every opportunity, he's never really come up with an idea, a plan, or a vision for this country. And I can tell you that at the end of 3 years, Mr. Speaker, we got Brexit done, which he voted against 48 times. We delivered the first vaccine in the world and rolled it out faster than any other European country, which would never possibly listen to him, Mr. Speaker. And we played a decisive role in helping to protect the people of Ukraine from the brutal invasion of Vladimir Putin and helped to save Ukraine, Mr. Speaker. And I'm proud to say that we are continuing, and every one of the 8 candidates will continue, with the biggest ever programme of infrastructure, skills and technology across this country to level up in a way that will benefit the constituents of every member of this House, Mr. Speaker. And it's perfectly true that I leave not at a time of my choosing. And it's absolutely true. But I am proud of the fantastic teamwork that has been involved in all of those projects, both nationally and internationally, Mr. Speaker. And I'm also proud of the leadership that I have given. And I will be leaving, Mr. Speaker. I will be leaving soon with my head held high.